great another opportunity for me to go across Canada and talk about our Canada's new defence policy, strong, secure, and engaged. The guiding principle behind strong, secure, and engaged is our ironclad commitment to keep Canada strong at home, secure in North America, and engaged in the world. Now, strong, secure, and engaged lays a groundwork for the next 20 years for the defence of Canada. Now, developing this policy was a major undertaking. It began with the most comprehensive public consultation ever undertaken by the Department of National Defence and the Canadian Armed Forces. We received over 20,000 public submissions. We spoke to defence experts, industry, parliamentarians, and academics. And I'm sure that many of you participated in the consultations as well. Now, we spoke with our allies and partners around the world as well, because many of them have recently undergone policy renewal processes, just like the one that we did, and we took their best practices into account. Also, back in May, I spoke with the Canadian Defence Associations Institute, and I said that Canada's new defence policy would help resolve many of the problems facing the Canadian Armed Forces after years of underfunding and under-resourcing. Now, the position we are starting from is challenging, but it's one where the status quo of funding going forward would not have even allowed for the status quo of capabilities. Strong, secure, and engaged is our plan to turn all this around, to fix these problems, provide a new vision for the defence of Canada, and resource the Canadian Armed Forces so that it can deliver on Canada's defence needs for the next 20 years. Now, this is an ambitious plan, but it's an achievable one because it's backed by the resources, both human and financial, now needed to make this policy a reality. Strong, secure, engaged is a fully funded policy. Now, defense spending will go from $18.9 billion to $32.7 billion within 10 years, which is an increase of over 70%. Now, most importantly, this will improve the care and support we offer to the women and men of the Canadian Armed Forces, as well as their families, who are a source of their strength. Now, one of the most important goals of this new policy is to help Canada create a military that's needed for the next 2 decades. While today's global security environment today is complex and unpredictable, certain things are clear. That the use of cyber technology in a military context is growing steadily. Now, Canada must leverage that technology to maintain military advantage. Our forces need to be equipped with the ability to detect, organize, and identify cyber threats, and to be prepared to take appropriate action. Canada and our allies face adversaries who use cyber technology to spread propaganda, recruit supporters, and wreak havoc wherever they can. So strong, secure, and engaged calls for new developments in the way the forces deals with cyberspace. First, it establishes a new cyber mission assurance program. This program will incorporate cybersecurity requirements into the military procurement process. Doing so will protect the forces' critical networks and ensure the Canadian Armed Forces can operate within a contested cyber domain. Second, the forces will create a new military occupation for cyber operators. Now, this will focus training and education initiatives. It will make it easier to recruit top talent into the military, and these cyber operators will be on the front line of a 24/7 cyber battle. They will be tasked to detect, deter, and defend against cyber threats or attacks on Canada. Now, there are also talented reservists, as you know, who are technology experts, and we want to use their skills to accomplish important elements of the military cyber force. And most importantly, the rapid evolution of cyber threats means that Canadian Armed Forces can no longer adopt a purely defensive approach to cyberspace. Simply reacting to an attack takes too long and increases the level of risk. When operating on a military mission, our women and men in uniform need to be able to disrupt attacks before they happen. They must be able to deploy cyber capabilities in order to succeed on today's battlefield. Now, through this policy, we are giving our forces the resources to develop and conduct active cyber operations. These cyber operations will abide by Canadian and international law. They will only be conducted in support of government-authorized military missions, and we also know how important privacy is to Canadians. So any cyber operation will be subjected to all of the same rules that apply to any other Canadian military operation. Now, this is a significant step for us but it's an important one, and it's overdue as well. Through the new defense policy, we will also be strengthening investments in space technologies, from GPS and precision weapons to wide area surveillance and communications. Space capabilities enable modern military operations, especially in a country like ours, which is so large and sparsely populated. Many of the technological advantages modern militaries rely on, they rely on the use of and how we utilize space. So we need to protect these assets and increase investments as technologies evolves. Through strong, secure, and engaged, we will defend and protect our space capabilities. We will work closely with our allies and partners to improve our situational awareness in space. We will do more to ensure that the satellites our military depends on are not vulnerable to potential adversaries. We will promote the peaceful use of space through our efforts to shape international norms on responsible behaviors in the space domain. We are going to invest more in satellite communication, Earth observation, and maritime domain awareness. Now this helps us detect ships and provide real-time transmission of information back from remotely piloted aircraft, especially in the Arctic. These are important components of the defense for the defense of Canada for the coming decades. We are making investments now so that we can take advantage of these capabilities well into the future. We will work with allies, industry, and academia to boost cutting-edge research design to enhance the capability and resilience of our space assets. We will create a new program called Innovation for Defense Excellence and Security. Now, through this program, known as IDEAS for short, we will invest $1.6 billion over the next 20 years in Canadian research and development in areas key to the future of defense. More specifically, we will establish world-leading research clusters comprised of academics and industry leaders, government scientists, and other partners. We will hold competition that will enable innovators to present their most creative solutions to our defense and security challenges. Our capacity to recognize good ideas and to act on them will be a critical factor in the success of our future missions. We will remove artificial constraints that stifle creativity and support new ideas through investment. Now, I want to discuss one more capability that Canada will be acquiring under the new defense policy. Now, commonly known as drones, we call them remotely piloted vehicles because they can operate both in the air, land, and underwater. Remotely piloted systems have a wide range of potential uses, both at home and on international operations, particularly in the area-wide surveillance. Other uses include safely disposing of bombs, detecting underwater threats and hazards, or carrying material over irregular terrain. These systems are integral to modern military operations, and we are mindful that potential adversaries are also investing in these technologies as well. We will be investing in a range of remotely piloted systems, including weaponized systems that can be used for precision strikes on international combat operations. The Canadian Army is also exploring capabilities to counter and defeat the enemy's remote piloted vehicles, which have become a threat. The ground-based air and munitions defense system is one such project that will deliver such capability. When we talk about remotely piloted systems, it is important to note that they will be used on government-approved missions only. The use of force will be tightly controlled and in full compliance with Canadian and international law. So, ladies and gentlemen, Canada's new defense policy represents a modern approach to a traditional desire to preserve Canadian values and the Canadian way of life in a competitive and contested world. And lastly, I'll close with just like I started. Our number one capabilities, ladies and gentlemen, are our men and women in uniform. For giving them the right tools and capabilities is absolutely essential, and making sure that they're well looked after and their families are well looked after will make sure that the Canadian Armed Forces will be well suited for the next 20 years. Thank you very much, and I'll open up to your questions.